Well, it's one of India's most shocking environmental disasters that we've seen in a long time. Several teams of firefighters have battled massive smoke that engulfed a solid waste management plant in Kochi in Kerala. The fire raged for nearly a week with thick black smoke blanketing the area. It's not just an environmental crisis, it is a huge health crisis, with doctors in the region saying that carcinogenic toxic fumes may have spread widely. That's what the concern is. It's no longer a question of, oh, it's been put out, now everything is okay. It's certainly not okay, and a lot needs to be done to look into this disaster. Joining us now, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development, Dr. Dhanuraj, Chairperson of the Center for Public Policy Research based in Kochi, Dr. Rajiv Jayadevan, who's been the past President of the Indian Medical Association in Cochin, Binod Hariharan, Joint Secretary of the Residents Association, which is adjacent to the Info Park in this particular area. C.R. Neelakandan is an environmental activist and will be joined by Dr. Neetu Jain, a senior pulmonologist. Thanks very much for being with us. Dr. Jayadevan, let me come to you first. Is it your belief that these fumes are carcinogenic?
If you search the medical literature, yes, fumes are carcinogenic. Fumes generated by the public burning of plastic waste. Yes, it's documented that they are carcinogenic. As to how severe the risk is, opinion is divided. It can range from extremely rare to rare. Now, what we are seeing here on the ground is basically mostly outpatient issues that can be sorted out in the clinic itself. There is a little bit of headache, burning of the eyes, cough. Some people get shortness of breath. Some people get nausea. And then people with pre-existing lung conditions, in other words, people with asthma and other lung conditions like COPD, a few of them have come and got admitted to the hospital. Overall, the immediate health concerns do not seem to be much so far, but as you said, the long-term consequences, it's difficult to predict.
You know, Dr. Jayadevan, the reason I ask is because when plastic is burned, now I'm quoting the IMA District President, Dr. Srinivas Kamath, who says that when plastic is burned, it releases toxic gas like dioxins, furans, and polychronated biphenyls. I looked up polychronated biphenyls, and these are extremely carcinogenic.
That's true. As I said, in the medical literature, they are carcinogenic, but the extent of the disease or the probability of the disease depends on the duration of exposure and also the dose of exposure. For someone who has had prolonged inhalation of these products over a long period of time, is at greater risk than someone who is located perhaps far away and is inhaling these products a little less. It is true. It is true that these are carcinogenic.
C.R. Neelakandan, what exactly is it that we are looking at? Yes, it's an environmental mess, but is this not an out-and-out case of people potentially being poisoned?
Yeah, it is a disaster which is running for last 16 years almost. The day one, the plant, I quote unquote plant, there is no plant, it's only dumping yard. It started there, people were against it. Centralized treatment plant in Kerala will not work. Almost all plants, including Trivandrum, Trichur, Calicut, everything was closed. Mainly because Kerala is special, its climate, its demography, its water bodies, and its topography, everything. So centralized treatment plants were all failure. This is again one failure. Second thing, the incapacity, inefficiency, corruption, and everything of this corporation is at the utmost, and they cannot handle anything. They are not having any accountability. They don't know what waste is coming there, what sort of waste is stored there. None of the project from day one, they have presented many projects. Everything failed, including the last one, biomining. The waste to energy plant, it was there, it was dropped. Now it's biomining, it's almost getting dropped. It's all failed. Not only that, I am living just across a river from the plant, not even in Cochin Corporation. Between Cochin Corporation and the plant, I'm living in that area. So we were getting this smell from the biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste for many years. It's not the first time it is coming, but it attacked the Cochin city. Then people were worried and they were making the waste. and they were dumping the waste, and now they are getting...
Just half a second. I'll come back to this. Dr. Neetu Jain, Senior Pulmonologist in Critical Care at PSRI Hospital, joins us. Dr. Jain, have you had patients who've been coming in with breathing problems?
See, we don't have any patient coming in because of the fire in Kerala, but before that, landfill fire has caused increase in inflow of the patient because of respiratory ailments. Specifically, patients who had pre-existing lung disease, they have come to us more often whenever there has been landfill fire around. Because of increase in PM 2.5, not only that, people who live near landfill, they also experience acute carbon monoxide poisoning. Like in Kerala, 20 people have suffered and have reported to hospital. That can be because of acute carbon monoxide poisoning, which is emitted in high amount because of landfill fires. So in future, we can expect more health hazards because of landfill fire, because of benzene compounds, benzopyrene compound, dioxin, furans. All these will cause long-term health hazard, liver toxicity, increase in number of cancers, specifically leukemias, as well as skin rashes and infertility and developmental problems in children. Previously also studies have reported that children has experienced developmental defect because of landfill gas emissions.
That's just shocking. And to think now in 2023, in one of the most advanced states of our country, we have a situation like this. Binod Hariharan, I believe you live in that area, is that right? Binod?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So just for the benefit of our viewers across the country, how close do you live to this landfill?
Around 2 to 3 kilometers away from this landfill.
Can you describe to us what you smelt, what you saw in terms of the haze over the last 1 week?
Yeah, so it was initially observed while I was driving, a distant fire in that area. And then I realized that it is due to this waste being, burning in that area. So over the last few days, there's been thick smoke engulfing the entire area. Visibility is low, and of course, breathing, it's a bit difficult. And you can smell it even at least 10 kilometers away where I work. If you go out, you can smell this, the fumes. So it's pretty bad. Yeah.
You can smell the fumes 10 kilometers away from this dump yard.
Yes. And I understand that, it's the same situation even further away, around 15 kilometers from the site. You can still sense it.
Mr. Hariharan, you were told by the administration to put on masks. Did people actually get around to doing that?
No, I haven't seen many people do that. But yes, there has been an advice.
Did you think about actually leaving your home with your family for a period of time when this was happening?
So fortunately, unfortunately, during these past few weeks, I've been away from my home, and I came back only a couple of days back, and I could see this. So the people in that vicinity who are still staying there, they've been suffering a lot. Many people have left their homes. They've been trying to stay away in their relatives' places and all that. So yeah, maybe not particularly applicable in my case, but a lot of people have done that, yes.
Dr. Sudhir Krishna, is this not part of something larger, that there is a collective failure of dealing with solid wastes in our countries? We're talking about Kochi over here. We've seen an absolutely disastrous situation in parts of Delhi, that somehow, given the waste that we produce, solid waste management is a joke in this country. Isn't that the bottom line?
Solid waste management has become a challenge, particularly as the income levels are growing. People's consumption activity is also growing, and we are buying more things, and therefore waste is also being generated in more and more quantity. And so it is becoming a challenge in its own way. But unfortunately, we have got rules, we have got frameworks available. Unfortunately, we are not able to put those things in practice in many cases. We have got excellent examples. The very much quoted example is of Indore, because the waste has got two components. One is the legacy waste, what we are seeing on your screen.
Dr. Krishna, just hold on for 1 second. I've got the Mayor of the Kochi Municipal Corporation, Mr. Anil Kumar, with us. Sir, who's responsible for this fire, sir?
The responsibility fixing can be done because it should be done. I'm of the opinion that it should be done. But now the problem is that the whole fire department and the whole rescue team and the agency of the government is trying, and the corporation is trying to see that the situations are brought to normal life in Kochi, specifically at the dump site, because since plastic, food waste, everything has been there, all the legacy waste has been lying idle for years. At least 4 times there has been fire in this in the same place in the last 8 years. So the primary responsibility and the primary focus of what we are doing now is to see that the fire situation at the place and the smoke that is, though the fire is under control, but since you know about the methane gas and the plastic burning that is that happens in the piles of garbage that has been mounting on the whole place for years. So now the focus is on this work. If you ask me who is to be held responsible, anyway the government has ordered an inquiry. The Commissioner of Police has been designated to inquire into the whole circumstance and what has gone wrong in the whole thing and how the fire happened and all this is being inquired by the police commissioner.
But Mr. Anil Kumar, tell me this, since this fire broke out, as the mayor of the Kochi Municipal Corporation, have you carried out any scientific samples of what exactly these gases are?
See whatever instruments through which we have been measuring the levels of pollution in Kochi, which is in place, that is one is in Vaitla. Vaitla is the place where all the smoke comes from Brahmapuram early in the morning. So Vaitla we have a station which calculates the pollution level daily. On a daily
No,
basis.
sir, I know you can calculate the pollution levels. It's just a simple device you can buy from Amazon. I'm asking about what the gases are. What are the gases which were released? Were they carcinogenic, sir?
See what the gases are and what is the chemical composition of these gases and what is going to be the long-lasting effects of these gases. The district collector has ordered, he has directed the pollution control board to inquire into and to find out and to collect samples from each place where the smoke fumes and comes in the city. So I am confident that the pollution control board is going to come out with this exercise.
Sir, 7 days after this started, you still are not in a position to tell me what the composition of the gases was? Is this not a basic responsibility of the government and of the municipal corporation which you head as mayor?
See, the municipal corporation has its own responsibility. I don't shut from my responsibility on the health issues that are being caused, but I am telling you very responsibly that whatever has been done by the municipal corporation, I told you what we are focusing on, and anyway the scientific...
But sir, respectfully, Mr. Anil Kumar, I know what you're focusing on now. The fire has been put out. And there'll be a process of apportioning blame. That's all very well. I'm just trying to ask you a very basic question. If there is a fire which has been raging for 7 days, what is the chemical composition of the gas?
That is what I am telling you, that the district collector, the department...
Sir, can you confirm to me that no one in the government has done an analysis of the composition of this gas?
That is what I am telling you, that the government department has been asked to evaluate the composition of the gas, and I am sure that is going to come out. So now I don't have the details. That is what I am telling you.
Sir, if there are carcinogenic fumes in the air, shouldn't there have been a system to encourage the evacuation of people?
We had a discussion with all the health department officials, with the 3 ministers, including the health minister and the LSCD minister and the minister who is in charge of the district, the industries minister, with all the MLAs. We had a meeting, and the mayor, we had a meeting, wherein this question was specifically asked to the health authorities that whether an evacuation is to be done. But the reply was that there is no such kind of alarming situation wherein an evacuation is to be done. And even the levels of patients who have come to the hospitals and complaints of suffocation, on last Sunday, that is on Thursday, it was set ablaze, and on those days, the fire and the smoke was much heavier. So reports were collected because even in the private hospitals, wherein people came with complaints of this suffocation, and when the hospital authorities were asked about the medical status quo of these patients, the reply was that there was no such alarming situation, nobody was admitted, and even today we don't have such alarming situations. So
Mr. Anil Kumar, one final question to you before I go across to my other panelists. What were the PM 2.5 levels at the height of this fire?
Now the reports, the reports that was placed before the ministers in that meeting, and even yesterday, day before yesterday, when we had a meeting, the pollution levels is more or less not higher in Whiteland and in those places where generally itself the pollution levels are higher even if there is no fire, because it is one of the busiest junctions in Kerala. So it has come down to more or less a normal level.
When it was high, what was the PM 2.5 level, sir? What was the PM 10 level approximately? Did it cross 500?
I think it was about 300. It was about 300. I remember as that.
It was about 300 plus on the PM 2.5 scale.
I cannot.
Sure. I understand.
Please, you should forgive me because I may not.
Okay, all right. Okay, no, I won't hold you to that number. Some would suggest that perhaps that number should have been, something that people would have remembered. But thank you very much for speaking to us. Mr. Dhanraj, Chairperson.
I will take the merit of this discussion forward.
Right. Mr. Dhanraj, Chairperson of the Center for Public Policy Research, a couple of key points which emerge from that. Number one, a decision was taken not to evacuate people. Number two, the mayor has no idea about the toxicity of the fumes which were released. Number three, he is not aware about whether any chemical composition of these fumes was done immediately. Number four, he is waiting for a report. Now that's typical. We always wait for reports in this country. So what does that indicate to you, Mr. Dhanraj?
Vishnu, see, this is a classic case of governance failure. You know what? So Kerala is known for decentralization, effective governance, and efficient administrative structure. In this case, if you examine last 25 years, what happened in terms of setting up a plant in Brahmapuram, in starting from buying a land in the outskirts of Kochi city to dump the waste there, probably 30 kilometers from Kochi city. What all things happened if you examine it critically from a policy side? I see that's a classic failure of a governance system for the reason. I tell you the reasons. One, most of the decisions are taken by the government of Kerala. Mayor, I'm not surprised by listening to him. I'm not surprised he's not able to answer many of the questions because it's a very centralized decision-making system at the state level, first. Second, many of the decisions taken by the Kochi Municipal Corporation from time to time were overturned by
Mr. Dhanraj, it's a complete abdication of responsibility. If a mayor or anybody else, I'm just making my observation. It's unbelievable that you don't have what the toxicity is. There's no study on this.
And expertise. Unfortunately, the Kochi Municipal Corporation, since I've been dealing with them for the last so many years, see, who is responsible for this? There are 3-4 players in this thing. One is City Municipal Corporation. Second is Pollution Control Board, which is a regulatory body, Kerala State Pollution Control Board. Third is district collector, because she comes in the picture, the collector comes in the picture.
And the High Court has made some very strong observations.
Disaster Management Authority. Fourth one is the contractor or the company who is leased out to, who is asked to take care of this, decisions or execute the decision taken by them, by the government. But in this possible process, what we are ignoring is that what is the capacity of the local government, what is the decision-making role they have enjoyed in the last many years. It's not about this particular incident today. This issue has been discussed for the last many years in Kochi.
Sir, let's just face it. I understand, Mr. Dhanraj, and I don't mean to be, interrupting like this. But the horse has bolted now. What one agency versus the other agency versus the third agency, and the discussion for 10 years is hardly the point. I think, Dr. Jayadevan, is it not a fact that nobody really knows if you die of pollution, because you don't die of pollution itself, you die of a heart attack, or you die of ailments which affect other organs in your body. But nobody will ever be able to necessarily pin down that deaths or serious illness which have been caused have been because of this. And because of this medical fact, right, you can't always apportion a death to air pollution. The people will ultimately get away who are responsible for this, and people will forget about this.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is difficult to estimate the true impact of individual, say, gases or other toxic chemicals in terms of long-term outcomes, specifically, as you said, of how many people get cancer. For example, there are studies from India that show that this public burning of plastic waste can lead to approximately 3 cases of cancer out of 1 crore people. Now, I don't know how they came up with these numbers, but these are published studies. It is not an enormous number, but it is difficult to say if that's an overestimate or underestimate. I would say it's an underestimate because, as I said, how do you prove this? Because 10 years from now or 20 years from now, if somebody gets a disease, how do you prove that it is because of this particular exposure? So that is one limitation that we have right now, which is why I said in the beginning, the long-term outlook is unclear. The faster we get rid of this, the sooner the smoke and the fumes settle down, the less the exposure will be. The cancer risk directly is proportional to how much smoke goes in other words, toxic gases go in, and how long, what's the duration of it. So those are the points, and I think we're looking forward. I think assertive measures have to be taken so it doesn't repeat ever again.
Dr. Krishna, would you be aware of the process where the government or a district magistrate, or obviously in conjunction with the state government, says it's time to evacuate people? How is that decision taken? On what basis is it taken? I mean, it can cause massive chaos, and our cities are overpopulated to begin with. But at what stage is that sort of decision taken?
Well, evacuation is not recommended normally, because where do you evacuate people
exactly.
to? If there is a other kind of emergency like earthquake or something, then it's okay. I mean, here it is a problem which continues to. Earthquake is a one-time phenomenon. It destroys your house and you have to be relocated. But here continuous fumes are coming, and that has to be tackled. And it is not only this city. So many cities are having this problem. So we cannot be evacuating people from here to there all over the place. So I think it is a very doable, manageable situation, provided managed properly. Very fine rules have been made. The solid waste management rules 2016, 6 years ago. Each city has to prepare a waste management plan. Under the plan, 2 actions are required. One is to handle the legacy waste, and second is to manage the currently generated waste. Now, cities are not preparing their waste management plan properly, and only the reaction comes when a situation like this happens. Otherwise, things are, floundering here. They are just, they are not taking a clear picture. But there are shining examples also. We have very good example from Indore, where 100 acres of land, Kochi also has 100 acres of land in this waste management landfill site. Similar is the situation of Indore. They cleared the legacy waste, and the area has become a green belt within a park and playground and like that. And the regular waste is being recycled properly. So things are manageable. It is very much possible and doable, but it's a matter of how we handle it. Technology is also available, but leadership is required at local levels. The clarity is required, and solutions are available, rules are available, everything is in place. And lastly, funds are also not much of a problem. Now municipalities have got reasonable amount of financial resources, but the management is the issue now. Often what is happening is we notice that municipalities are outsourcing it to a contracting agency. This is not going to work. It has not worked. Even in Indore also, they tried with a private contractor. They reverted to the municipality managing themselves, because this requires a whole lot of regulatory issues. The contractor is not able to manage so many regulations, so many authorities, so he ultimately vanishes, and things go back to square one. So municipalities must take this as their top priority item. In fact, there is no municipality in the country which has not been given the task of solid waste management. Other things, water supply may be there with the municipality, may not be there. But solid waste management is 100% with the municipalities in all the cases. And the municipalities have to be equipped capacity wise, and they have to be given, proper training. Everything is available also. So it is very, very unfortunate that the matter is not being taken properly with the availability of resources in terms of legal resources, in terms of financial resources. But managerial resources municipalities have to muster. So Swachh Bharat mission is also there. A lot of resources are coming from that also. Yeah. Technology is there. So I think it must be done. And lastly, I would say we should not wait for to wake up when courts intervene. Unfortunately, only when matter reach the level where courts are giving direction, then we are acting. It should not be so. The officers of the municipal corporation must wake up, and every municipality should have an additional commissioner in charge of solid waste.
No, sir, you talk perfect sense, and I take all of the points you make, but it's just so sad that it's reached this stage in a state which is as developed in so many senses as Kerala, where solid waste management in one of our largest cities turned out to be an absolute joke. And where people, have been impacted, but nobody knows necessarily how, and you may not necessarily know for years. But that's a sad reality which we all accept in so many parts of our country. Is there any value to life? One often has to ask. When it comes to air pollution, it just seems to be a normal. Nobody seems to know what the impact is over a period of time. I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us. And Dr. Neetu Jain, thank you for sharing very specifically how people do suffer because of air pollution. We need to get serious about it. Thanks very much for being with us.